typically what happens, and I'll go into it just a little bit further for you. Typically what happens is the decoy obviously is going to get that picture or whatever first. They're going to say, okay, look, there's, I just received CSAM. We tell them to put the phone down, don't do anything right away, and we call the reporting agency that we report to and tell them, look, we received CSAM, or we put in an online report. It depends on the locale that we're in. We put it into a file that the decoy uploads to directly, and nobody on the team will open those files. The file is, and there's only very limited people on the team who have access to those files.
Nobody wants to see them.
nobody wants to see these pictures. Nobody wants to see any of this stuff. Once it's in that file, we go ahead and make sure that it's marked. It's marked to the police, and that's it. We go do the catch, or we turn it over. That's what we do.
And I quote, "Do not open," per Tom B.
Yep.
And I think that CPP has a really good way of going about it, and having one. Is it me echoing? I can hear an echo. We have a really good way of having one person look at that stuff, grab anything that we could use when identifying this pred, and no one else looks at it.
Right. We put it into a file that's marked "Do Not Open." And look, the reality is law enforcement could still charge us, but I think that it would play out in court very positively for us.
Let's say CPP's on the constant of trying to be infiltrated. Tommy knows it. Interesting timing. Tommy's in the Philippines. His channel goes live. It gets revealed that there's a file that says "Do Not Open" that has CP on it, that should be, in my opinion, should have immediately, if not, hopefully that material went right to NECMEC or the locals to put in the database. So if people want to volunteers or whoever part of an organization, and it's already been proven that there have been people that have looked through that are civilian, that weren't arrested, that possessed it with the intent to look for missing children and victims. So based upon that premise, that's my point with all this is, so there's always going to be infiltration. So could the guy that did that, not without saying any names, that this whole community's erupted. Oh, CPP, they're keeping a database of sick shit, right? And try not to say many names that'll kick us off to NECMEC talking about it, right? But to save from wasting resources. And that's my biggest thing, is a lot of this shit and screaming and calling the cops, having 1,000 calls made on Tommy. That's what he said, right? Whether or not he is a liar or not, that's what he said. So the thing is, that's a waste of resources. For what result? Again, you're looking for a result. What's the bottom line here? But I think really the bottom line for me, for the double slime that we've been talking about, right? To end the problem, I think someone like CPP Tommy, because he's just a good example, right? Or Alex, because they've got the biggest following, just like the cop watchers. They got infiltrated, and then all of a sudden, shit's created, sickos are involved, and it divides that whole 500,000 people watching in 4 or 5 different ways, which is easier to monitor. But going back to Tommy being infiltrated, 35%, that's a good statistic, and that's a beefy statistic. So there could be, especially the timing, There could be infiltration there. I don't know. I haven't, looked up this guy and looked at all of his background and talked to his elementary teachers and shit. So the thing is, and that's what I try to interject with, is in that situation, you don't know his intent. But I think when there's if you can come to common ground, like on this one case with Predward, he had illicit material and he didn't do time for the crime, no matter his intent.
So, okay, so I have a question. Now, forgive me if I misunderstand this because I'm not a crazy techie. If you have a database on a computer that says do not open and it allegedly has potential CSAM material,
Yep.
for it to get on that hard drive, it would have to be taken, unless the decoy phones are already connected to that iCloud or whatever it's on,
Right.
all centrally, it would have to be transferred to that, thus duplicating the material.
Well, all that CP that they might have. Now, I disagree with keeping it unless it's approved to be able to go through to look for, through that organization, approved to look for victims, to look for missing, okay? Missing children. We don't want to say the C word too much.
But we know that's not the case because it would take more than just an officer approving that.
Right. But the thing is, hold on, possessing that still in a do not open file, it still had to be transferred there from phones that were sent, did get sent from that or whatever, however they obtained it, and they got a big collection there, okay? The thing is, NECMEC would have hit somehow. All right.
Yeah.
So it obviously, unless he's, being waterboarded right now and we don't know, right? But what I find interesting is it happened while Tommy was gone, asleep, different time zone.
Well, what do you mean? So it would have to be transferred, yes, to that central database, and that's obviously a felony crime. But did it happen really when Tommy was gone, or did it happen periodically over the course of the last 5 years?
It was outed. What I'm trying to tell you is
it
outed.
was outed.
So,
okay.
So right, and personally, the guy that outed took over Tommy's channel. But the thing is, okay, I think it boils down to intent. But for an established organization to possess a database to go through, even if a mom all of a sudden had a cold case of a child missing and she got a tip to where her child might have been sex trafficked or something, and she wanted to go through a database, and it was a case in Colorado, and either a volunteer or that mom wants to sit there and no, I'll sit there and go through it with you, please, I want to do something. Is that I mean, other people have already done that and not gone to jail over it and even been caught doing it for somehow obtaining that as much as they could, like 40,000 hours to be able to view it to look for missing children. She still gets reported, her NECMEC hits, but her intent was to look for missing children. She doesn't get charged. So I think they're really barking up the wrong tree, but it's still a worthy cause to bark up the tree because Tommy could be infiltrated. And I always like the decoys, catchers. God bless those people because you have to deal with the sick shit, man. It's like the same thing. If somebody's going to volunteer through an organization like CPP, volunteer, they get cleared, they log into a federal government database, and they want to look through, for victims by having to view really nasty, gnarly material. You, as a decoy, have to deal with the nasty, gnarly material, right? Just the sick shit. But to do that, God bless those people. right? People that have decoyed and have convictions, even if you don't. So things can get messy, but maps and PEDs and PREDs are going to infiltrate in and act like they're, all gung-ho. Let's do a catch. Let's do it, going back to Tommy being infiltrated, 35%, that's a good statistic, and that's a beefy statistic. So